From far and wide, Oilers fans, this is Dolynny TV. And welcome back to Dolynny TV. As guys, it's Christmas Eve. That doesn't mean we're done making videos for the year. I'm Tyson Dolynny. Let's get right to it. I promised you the other day that we were going to talk a little bit about either the Edmonton Oilers that have the most trade value. For now, that has been shelved, as we are going with the Edmonton Oilers top 5 draft picks from 05 to 18. I said the 15 years. I'm going to cut it down to 05-18, just kind of give you my perspective on the years I've watched of Edmonton Oilers draft picks. So, without further ado, should we get right to the honorable mentions? I think we should, guys. If you disagree with the list, what I want you to do is hit the comments section down below and chat me up. Tell me why you disagree. Tell me what goes into your factor of thought, because that's my thing. I try and rank things based on A, how I feel, B, what the stats say, and C, kind of the general opinion of Oilers fans on given guys. That's kind of how I rate things no matter what video I'm doing, and of course that isn't about to change for this one. So guys, like I said, comments section down below, go hit it up, and if you're new to the channel, definitely consider checking out some of the other content. There will be cards in the video for you to go check out other content, and stick around to the end of the video to see what I suggest for you to watch next. Without further ado, let's go get right into the honorable mentions for you guys today. Honorable mentions, I have 3 of them, so that gives me 8 draft picks I'm talking about in the span of a top 5. Just thought I'd throw some guys in so as I don't look completely clueless, because I mean, like I said, in the comment section below, after this list, who knows what you guys will be saying, but I think it's going to be mostly positive. So honorable mentions for the Edmonton Oilers, I've got 2 defensemen as my first 2. Darnell Nurse, you know what? The reason he's an honorable mention, I think he's the most obvious honorable mention. Darnell Nurse is a guy who's just now starting to hit his stride, right? He hit it a couple years ago, and now he's hitting it again with the Oilers. And give him time, and he'll grow into his game. Essentially, he's got to figure out his exact role on this Oilers team. I'd love it if the Oilers would figure out to move Larson down to the second pair, form that complete shutdown pair with Larson and Russell, and then have a crazy offensive pair. You have seen what Darnell Nurse has done so far in the absence of Cleft. Imagine him with Cleft. Would be fantastic. And of course, that's my next guy on the list of the honorable mentions, Oscar Cleft. You know, he's emerging, and he continues to emerge. He's had a couple great years. Injuries have held him back a couple of times. But I think the beautiful thing for Oscar Cleft is he will continue to fly under the radar as an Oilers pick that, I mean, didn't have a lot of expectations, I don't think. And now you get to see him just keep cruising along in the NHL, and you get to keep enjoying him as long as he's not on the shelf like he is now. Now, this honorable mention is going to make it very, very, very difficult for some of you guys to agree with me, even after I've said very great things about him in a video recently. The essential reason why Ryan Nugent Hopkins is one of my honorable mentions is just based on career longevity at this point, right? Ryan Nugent Hopkins, a number 1 overall draft pick for the Oilers. Problem is, I don't think anyone hyped RNH up as much as the other 5 guys on this list, and I don't think people continue to hype RNH as much as they do the other 5 guys on this list. There's something romantic about 4 of these guys for Oilers fans, and then the other guy is kind of an oddball, but I'll explain my choice when we get to number 4 right away. So shall we move to number 5, in which Jordan Eberle is my number 5. Jordan Eberle, a guy who started his career with the Oilers back in 2011, or 2010-2011, 43 points, then 76 points the next year, 37 in the lockout year, up to 65 the next, 63, 47, 51, and all of a sudden now he's with the New York Islanders, 59 that year to start, and, well, 17 and 35. So Jordan Eberle, those numbers aren't exactly wow me numbers, and that's, you know what, that's kind of the point, is he is not a wow me guy. Yes, you know what, he's flashy, he is offensive, he can score goals, and he can pass the puck, no problem. But Jordan Eberle, when he came to the Edmonton Oilers in round number 1, in the 2008 entry draft, 22nd overall. The Oilers, the reason this is a top draft pick is not so much what he's done in the NHL compared to a guy like RNH who's on the honorable mentions list, but as a 22nd overall draft pick for the Oilers in a dark, dark time for Jordan Eberle to have the success he has, right? Like, think about some of the guys we've drafted in previous years, and Jordan Eberle at 22nd overall to have the success, that is huge for the Oilers and huge for me as an Oilers fan to have seen this guy blossom into a full-time NHLer. The hard part I think a lot of Oilers fans will have is, of course, he's on the Islanders. He's no longer an Oilers guy. Well, you know what? That's not exactly the point. I'm talking about the top 5 Oilers draft picks. Doesn't matter if they're still playing for the Oilers. Jordan Eberle is definitely one of the top 5 Oilers draft picks from 2005 to 2018 based on merit, NHL caliber, and of course at this point games played and production, right? So 458 points in 623 career games, that's huge. The only thing that I look at Jordan Eberle and think, man, this guy is being held back, is the playoffs. And that is exactly why when we move into number 4, you're going to see me argue for this guy at number 4 ahead of Jordan Eberle and Ryan Nugent Hopkins. And I think a lot of guys aren't going to understand what I mean, but round number 1, 25th overall in 2005. Holy crap. Oilers fans, you want to go rake your brain as to who that was. Well, he hasn't been with us for a long, long time. However, Andrew Coughlin, this guy, the Iron Man, right? He had a very great Iron Man streak. I think it got broken last season, if I'm not mistaken. But this guy comes in 07-08 in, like I said, a time when the Oilers were an absolute disaster tire fire. Puts up 45 points. He's never been a flashy point getter. That's one thing about Coughlin. You know what? He had high expectations. Everyone thought, oh, yeah, this kid's great. That was the beginning of the Oilers. Gotta rush the kids. Gotta rush the kids. So in one sense, you know what? I almost feel bad for the guy. If he would have had, you know what, a third year in college to develop and then come to the Oilers, who is to say what could happen? And if it wasn't a third year in college, maybe a third year spent outside of college in the AHL. Never know what could have happened for a guy like Andrew Coughlin at that point. Maybe an immaculate, different career. However, the fact that Andrew Coughlin, once he learned, I'm not going to score points in this league, became a shutdown guy for, well, the Oilers towards the end of his career, that 2010-2011 season. But more importantly, the season in which he actually really showed what he's all about is once he got to Anaheim. The first 3 seasons in Anaheim really defined who Andrew Coughlin was, right? 26 points, shutdown guy, only a -4. Really came in there and started making an impact. Still young, not exactly sure what to think about him at that point. But then you look at what he's done over the past course of what? From 2012, 2013 to now 2018, 2019. By the looks of it, he's missed a total of 2 hockey games for the Anaheim Ducks. If the Oilers wanted to ever draft a guy that was going to stick and stay in the NHL full-time, and I mean that is 100% full-time, well, look at that, no further than Andrew Coughlin. I know, you know what, again, same thing as Jordan Eberle. He's not an Oiler, and he hasn't been an Oiler since 2011. But guess what? With Andrew Coughlin, the Oilers back then in 2005 actually hit the nail with the hammer on a guy that was going to stick in the NHL, be a regular timer, and find himself a role. That's maybe perhaps my biggest critique of the Oilers drafting so far since 2005 is they don't find guys who can fit roles permanently. And Andrew Coughlin, very much so, one of those guys. There you go. That is as simple as I like to make it. So now, this one is an exciting one. Number 3 overall. Actually, hold on. Where do I have him on my list? Yes, I have him at number 3. You'll see why, because I'll go appease the Oil fans with number 1 and number 2. However, number 1, the Savior 1.0. Yes, you guys should remember the Savior 1.0. Came off great junior career with the Windsor Spitfires, 84 points, 90 points, 106 to cap it in his draft year. Talking about Taylor Hall. And you guys, I mean, there are still Oilers factions out there that glorify Taylor Hall more than Connor McDavid, in my opinion. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. But you look at the stats, you kind of see why. Taylor Hall was a guy that came in. He was the glorified son. He was the savior. He was going to do everything. He was going to transform the franchise. But this is the key for Taylor Hall. There's a couple things that made him such a top Oilers draft pick. Of course, being number one, that's front and center. But the controversy over Taylor Hall is just one thing that maybe, like Matthew Tkachuk, the Calgary Flames, Taylor Hall has so much space in Oilers fans' minds, even now that he's been gone for a couple of seasons. The reason Taylor Hall seems to be such an incredible guy to Oilers fans, the potential was never lived up to. There's something romantic about what could have been with Taylor Hall should have we given him an actual team to play with. Now, you know what? I think Taylor Hall had a team he could have played with, but refused and tried to play on his own at times, at the majority actually. So if you want to come at me, like I said, comment section down below. Let me hear it. What do you guys think? But Taylor Hall, 80 points in 75 games, 13-14. We actually saw a glimpse, but I'm sorry. At that point, there were guys, number one overall draft picks, just lighting it up and bringing their guys to the playoffs. Taylor Hall, 80 points, 75 games played, didn't bring the Oilers to the playoffs. That was very, very hurtful for a lot of Oilers fans at that period. We were suffering for a long while. But you know what? Now, Taylor Hall only continues to prove his legacy as a top Oilers draft pick. He's a Hart Trophy winner, right? An MVP. Come on now. The Oilers drafted 2 MVPs since 05-18. If you want Taylor Hall on this list, that's got to be a number 2 reason right there. Just based on pretty much the merit of the award. He's got to be top 5 no matter what, because he's top 2 in terms of Hart Trophy winners for the Edmonton Oilers in the past how many years, right? So right there, Taylor Hall takes number 3. Like I said, controversy kind of knocks him down for me. However, so Leon Draisaitl, this is number 2. Now Leon Draisaitl is a weak number 2. I was feeling it between Hall and Draisaitl, but realistically I had to go with Draisaitl based on a couple of factors. For Draisaitl, he continues to produce. You know what? The first year was very rough for Draisaitl. First year was rough, but he has been a consummate 70-point guy in the past 2 seasons, and this year he's on pace to outpace, I think, even 90 points. I think it's something stupid. I didn't do the math on this. I should have. 43 divided by 36 times 82. That's 97.9 points in a season. So round him up to 98. That is absolutely ridiculous for a guy we drafted 3rd overall, round number 1, right? That's huge production. So Leon Draisaitl, looking to be a guy that's going to get into the Oilers' long-term plans, obviously with his contract. And I think he's only going to get better with age, because the thing is, the more he learns from McDavid, the more he plays with McDavid, and the more other guys on the team play with McDavid, the more everybody can kind of mesh together, figure out McDavid's game, use it in their own game, and start scoring points like McDavid. And Draisaitl's starting to do that. He's been a second-line guy, first-line guy all year, but a power play specialist as well. It has been great to see for Draisaitl, and essentially, that is exactly what makes him the Oilers' 2nd best draft pick since 05, is the fact that he can play with McDavid. We have yet to have a single guy down the row, whether it be Eberle, whether it be Nuge, whether it be Hall, that can continually play with Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl is simply 100% that guy. So now, obviously, I have not mentioned the God's name. I have not mentioned the next one's name. I have not mentioned him very much. However, Connor McDavid is number 1. a duh. There is no other way to put this kindly, but Connor McDavid, 308 points in 244 games. I mean, what is he, 21 years old and just short of a change, 20 days, so 345 days on 21 years. This guy is going to be a terror for the NHL, barring any super injuries down the road for years to come. And I mean, Gretzky retired at what, 36? Connor McDavid is a guy that, as long as his legs stay somewhat active, he could play like a Matt Cullen to 44. He's got the drive, he's got the will. Never know what family's going to do to him, but I look at Connor McDavid as a guy who is absolutely going to terrify opponents for years to come. Problem is, will it be in an Oilers jersey? We're not sure. But Connor McDavid, as simple as this, he's the next one. He's got the points, he's got the trophies, he's got everything to back him up. And Art Ross, actually 2 Art Rosses, a Hart Trophy, and 2 Ted Lindsay Awards. That's 5 awards in the span of the past 2 years. That is monstrous for a guy like Connor McDavid coming in at 21 years old. Guys, the Oilers have not had a draft pick like Connor McDavid since 05-18. They have never had a draft pick like Connor McDavid, period. You know what? Ryan Smith is about the next most legendary Oiler on the Oilers draft list. There's been a couple guys way back when that put up some decent points as well. But it is a matter of fact that Connor McDavid is one above all when it comes to the Oilers draft pick list. Guys, that's where I'm going to leave you. That was a 16-minute and 45-second rant about the Oilers' top 5 draft picks since 05-18. I hope you enjoyed it. A longer edition for Christmas Eve. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. I'll talk to you on Christmas. We'll have a little bit of a chat about what I got, if I got anything, and we'll have a chat about kind of what's coming up. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I am up on, out of here.